Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me on the Thoughtful Leader Show. My name is Jessica Rice and I am your host. And today we have an amazing guest joining us, Darren Webster, who is a US-based entrepreneur and CEO who brings together his experience as a former world championship level athlete and high-level Fortune 15 executive to help people achieve their goals. Darren believes that each one of us has the potential to achieve incredible things, and he's leveraged his experiences and insights to create a software platform that makes it easier for people, professionals, and organizations to succeed in their objectives. Previously, Darren was an award-winning Fortune 15 executive with his impact leading to over $1 billion in value creation and setting new standards of company performance. He is currently the CEO of Goalster, a Colorado-based SaaS company with partners and clients in 5 countries who leverage the power of Goalster to ensure they achieve their biggest and most important objectives. Darren is an expert in organizational leadership and high performance, having led organizations of over 1,200 for top U.S. wireless carrier Verizon, as well as being part of the Australian Institute of Sport as an athlete. When he's not working with partners and clients of Goalster, he can also be found outside with his family, kicking a football, hiking, surfing, kayaking, or skiing. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Darren. I so appreciate you coming on.
Nice to meet you. Thank you for having us.
So you've had this incredible career. You have an incredible background, very lucrative working with Verizon. I'm just curious to know what prompted you to kind of start, go out on your own and start your own company.
Thanks for asking. It was sort of by accident, and it wasn't. I didn't intend to be honest. I had this great career with Verizon since I moved to the US, and my goal was actually to continue in my career and go on to hopefully be the CEO of the company. I love the company. I love working there, but there was a point where I had to move or potentially take an opportunity outside the company, and at the time, I had to take the job outside the company and start off on a different journey from Verizon, and so as I embarked on that, it was obviously a big change. Most of my career had been in one company, but it was great to be able to get some exposure to a software company as well as a small startup, which is very different to the sort of giant corporate behemoth that I was used to.
Well, starting a company is no small feat on any level. And so how did that come about? How did that feel for you? I'm sure you had the vision, but what was it bringing it together like?
The company has sort of evolved from the experience that I had when I left that sort of Fortune 20 environment where you've got all the resources, all the help, everything that you need to go and start a small business in the coaching and consulting space. I always loved helping people develop as part of my work when I was leading these teams. That was the thing that I got the most value from. But to be able to do that for myself and to go and help companies and people within those companies achieve their goals, no matter what they were, was the goal. What I found was, as a small startup with limited resources, limited time, limited capacity, it was very difficult to pull that all together. And I remember the moment that it occurred to me what Goalster would be was I was looking at a 12-month developmental program that I'd put together. It was all on an Excel spreadsheet. It was all ready to go. And I was looking at it, and it all sounded great in theory. But as an individual consultant or coach, it was going to be really difficult for me to pull this thing off. And I remember sitting there looking at it thinking, I can't do this. I'd need my own app. And all of a sudden it occurred to me that if I had my own platform and mobile first application, I could essentially replicate myself as a coach into the pocket of the clients, and to be able to go back to a company as big as Verizon or as small as a startup, to be able to go and help organize and align people around those objectives, give them the best practices that they need and all the tools that they needed to be able to go and execute and succeed. And that really was where this all came from, a problem that I think most coaches deal with, especially when they're first starting. But the ability to bring scale and capacity and these new ways to be able to deploy solutions was really the birth of Goalster.
Mm. Well, and I can certainly appreciate that as a coach and having to try to think about how we scale our services. I think most people would stop right there, though. They built the app, they can now go out and launch their business to a greater extent. What inspired you to want to expand it to then helping other coaches so that they could help their clients achieve greater goals and success?
Well, I think it really just comes back to the fact that I experienced those pains and those problems personally. When you're starting a smaller business like this, you've got to get a client base up and running. You've got to have solutions that can be deployed, and managing all of that when you're doing sales and marketing and everything else is really difficult. And so really the whole platform was born from, how do I solve this problem of capacity, where I can now go to bigger customers and be able to deliver more services to them in a way that's super professional, but in a way that I have control of it. And that was really the problem that I didn't realize I was going to solve, but it was certainly the problem that I had. And it seems that I'm not the only one, or that I wasn't the only one. Lots of coaches tend to have the same issue. And if we can work together to build a platform that helps them have more impact on more people and potentially create some new solutions, then we can all do some great things for companies around the world.
Mm. Did you feel like any part of your own leadership journey informed this creation as well?
Yeah, one of the jobs that was most formative in how Goalster sort of came about was, I used to lead a team of about 1,200, as you mentioned, retail professionals in about 8 states around the country. And we had 80 odd stores, hundreds of leaders within the organization. And just that sort of a scale organization is really hard to manage. As you start to get over a few people, into the 10, 20, 30, it starts to get progressively harder for the leader, being able to make sure that your message gets right down to the front line, that execution is happening, that everyone's aligned around the right objectives. That was really, really difficult. As the larger the organization, the more difficult that is. And that was informative, because if I was a consultant trying to go in and help an organization like this, I would want to be able to bring tools and resources that are going to help make that happen. And knowing what it's like to lead those teams, but also what it's like to be a consultant coming in to try and help those teams. Blending the two of those together is really what Goalster is about. It's a way to help the consultant be able to go into a large company, get a group of people, and help set them up to succeed and go from there. But that was really how the two pieces came together. My role as a Verizon director and as a coach and consultant, and bridging those gaps.
Well, I know Goalster has really been pivotal in how we can start thinking about coaching at scale and without even requiring a large amount of overhead, which I think is another thing that a lot of coaches face or consultants face, or even, L&D teams and things of that nature. What do you feel like Goalster really excels in then that's different, say, than other products that are out there?
I think there's a couple of things. So as I was looking for alternative solutions before I'd even built Goalster, one of the things that I found was some of the platforms that were out there were really geared towards one-on-one coaching, almost creating a more digital one-on-one coaching experience. But that wasn't really what I was after. I wanted something that was one-to-many versus one-to-one, and customizable in a way that I could have almost within the one platform, multiple tenants, so that as a coach or a consultant, I could have one company with 100 employees in one part of the platform, and 3 other companies with 30 employees in a different part of the platform, all getting the support that they needed and the tools, but not being able to know that the other was there. So to be able to, as a consultant, handle multiple client engagements within the one platform, or to be able to handle hundreds of coaching clients as opposed to just those individuals, was really where I think this takes a bit of a leap forward. The other part of it is that the corporate entities like a Verizon, even like one of the top companies in the world, They have learning management systems. They have these huge, HR systems, but there's really nothing that gets down to the employee level that is that coach in the pocket that I wanted Goalster to be. And so having experienced, companies with lots of resources, and they couldn't even pull something like this off, to be able to bring to market something that helps a coach do that, was really where I think this differentiates from other things out there. It's not just about the one-on-one experience. It's about how much impact you can have on a lot of people within an organization.
Well, I know it really has a lot of cool features too, like the daily reminders that we can schedule and help clients to be mindful of the goals that they're setting in a way that's very simple and easy. I think it can almost seem daunting for a lot of leaders who are thinking about how they continue to grow, or companies, how they deliver goals to an entire team. And so when you were thinking through this, what was the development process like? Was it very iterative for you, or did you have a very clear goal coming out?
I think it's never ending, and it's always iterative. I think when you're in software, but I had a vision of what I wanted the user experience to be like. Because if a software platform is not easy to use, if it's not intuitive, it just won't get used, and it'll gather dust, or just not be used at all. But to have that user experience, I knew what I wanted. But as an entrepreneur who'd spent my whole life in corporate, not in software, I had to get initial partners to help me with the mobile development. We brought to market an MVP, and then we started to get some investment, and all of a sudden it just sort of snowballs like this. And all of a sudden now you're into an enterprise platform, and but along the way we kept getting good feedback from whether it's executives in corporations or coaches and consultants as we were going through, just helping us refine what we wanted this to look like, and within our budgets and what we can spend, we had to focus on what do we really want this thing to do, and then get some pretty smart people and talented people to help sort of clear away the rough edges and make sure that it was fit for purpose. So yeah, it's definitely iterative. It was a long process to get something like this to market, but I think it's worth it based on what we can do for people and what we can do for organizations.
I think it's such a cool tool, because it not only offers, I think, the reminders, but you can create an entire course within there. Clients can have access to a plethora of tools in relation to whatever the content is that's coming out, and it's incredibly customizable. So I know a lot of thought definitely went into it, coming out the gate. What do you feel like, where do you see it going? What's your vision for the future?
I would love to. What we want to create is a global marketplace for achieving things. So, if someone wanted to get the roadmap or the blueprint to succeed in something, where they can go right now is they can go to ChatGPT, they can go to YouTube, they can go to these different places. But what I wanted for Goalster was to be one place where I can come to seek out either the coaches and the consultants who can help me achieve my goals or help my team achieve our goals, but to be able to deliver that in a really digital, really easy to execute digital format. And one of the things that actually caused me to name it Goalster was based on Napster. So when I was growing up, Napster was music sharing, file sharing. What I wanted Goalster to be was achievement sharing. So if I can come up with the blueprint of what success looks like to go and execute and achieve a goal, and I can replicate that process, and I can deliver that to an end user and launch them off on a journey that, if they execute it, will get to where they want to go. That's what we want out of the platform long term. And we're going to create a marketplace where our sort of global consultant network can then offer their services to any of our users on the platform, whether they're enterprise users or SMBs. And essentially have this place where people can sell and exchange their blueprints of success. And so if we can make it easy for people to execute, and then have an entire marketplace of what you want to achieve, easily accessible and then executable, I think that's different to what's out there. It's not watching videos on YouTube. There's an action plan, there's resources, and there's things like that help you take action which is the only way you're going to achieve your goals. I can watch videos about it all day, but if I don't take the action, I'll never actually get there. And Goalster is all about execution and action.
I mean, I think you're touching on some really important pieces too that so many in the corporate industry right now are facing, which is a lack of time. And so when we're thinking about developing additional goals for our own personal development growth or within our company or with our teams, that's usually the largest thing that comes up is it feels overwhelming. It feels daunting to implement something, whether it's a whole program for a team or even something for ourselves, because we just simply don't either have the time or we're not quite sure how to enact it. What are some of the successes that you've seen with Goalster in that capacity?
So there's a couple of different use cases that I think are the easiest. So if you think about organizational performance and getting a team to align around big objectives, to agree on an action plan of here's how we're going to go and execute, but most importantly, being accountable for actually doing that. And so one of the things that is, I think, a limiting factor for the performance of many teams is that they're not focused on the highest value behaviors, processes, or actions that are going to get them to their goals faster, and they allow the other noise and some of the other things they allow to come into or to encroach get in the way of that. So the more you can simplify what to do and how to do it, and what the priorities are for a team, that's one way that we're seeing this used. We have a university, in fact, who is using this with all their student recruitment folks, essentially their sales teams, as well as some of our coaching and consulting partners who are able to take an existing sales team, give them the blueprints of their success all delivered through the platform, as well as the action plan for the next, say, 90 days or 120 days of how this person can really succeed. That can be deployed right now. So that's one way to do it. The other thing that we've seen some success in is organizational development programs. So having come from Verizon, we used to do development programs with our teams all the time. We would invest millions and millions and millions of dollars on helping our team members develop new skills, be able to take the next step in their careers. And all of that can actually be delivered as an individual program or a group program through the platform. So we've actually worked with a $4 billion healthcare startup, or healthcare services company, sorry, and they're using the platform to drive a 12-month developmental program for their top executives. There's 50 of them that are already going through it. And so what this program is like is there's different activities, there's different content that deploys to the users at different times, and there's different checkpoints where they're going to have achieved or have certain outcomes confirmed. And so this program now is all driven through the application. And this is the kind of program that I actually was looking at when I decided to build the platform. And it's a program that coaches like yourself and other consultants and consulting firms could easily create their own flavor of those programs and deploy them into organizations through the platform. And our job is to help them do that, because if we can provide that technology that allows them to develop these new solutions that help people and organizations develop and perform better, then that's great. That's what we're here for.
Mm. Well, I think it's really exciting because not only are you talking about the fact that you can make it very customizable, but you can also make it really scalable. And those are two things that I think a lot of people struggle with is we can do the really customizable piece, or we can do the piece that's scalable and not customizable, but seldom do you ever see both in one platform. And so I know we're really excited to be partnering with you as well. As a client with you and working with Goalster and what we're delivering. So what types of features do you feel like are coming out that maybe are even kind of new or cusping right now?
So we're always working on different reports and different data points that we can get from the platform. So we've got some enhancements coming out around that, almost like a my stats for the individual, so that as they're going through over the course of, it could be months, that we're keeping tabs and keeping score on how they're doing. We're learning as we go through the platform. And that's one of the benefits of having this new vehicle is not only can you deploy content, but you can gather insights from it as well. So we're always looking to see what else we can learn to be able to make either the experience better for the user, or the outcome more successful for the participant. And so that's one thing that we're working on, the analytics and intelligence. We're also looking at what we can do with generative AI to bring that into the platform to almost be more intuitive and more intelligent when it comes to the suggestion of goals and also the deployment of content. So there's a lot of cool stuff that I think is on the roadmap. But what we're focused on right now is just making sure that the platform helps people and organizations perform better, develop faster, and that we work with our coaches and consultants, our own partners, to be able to help them bring to market their own programs, which is really exciting. That's the thing that we get really jazzed about, is how can we help other companies create new recurring revenue through programs and solutions that they can deliver to their clients on the back of our technology. And the more we can do that, the better. And that's why we like partnering with people.
Well, I'm really excited about it. I think it's such an amazing platform. It offers so many opportunities for truly helping clients beyond anything I personally have seen. And so,
thank you.
I'm looking forward to moving forward, really just leveraging this in partnership with Jessica Rice Coaching and working with our clients so that they can be successful with what they set out to do. That's the whole point. So.
Well, it's been a pleasure, and I really appreciate the partnership. And there's a lot of great stuff that we can help people achieve. But the beauty of that partnership is we're bringing the experience and insights and intellectual property that you have with the technology that we have to be able to help make it easier for people to succeed. And that's really cool.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you sharing with us and just giving us a little bit of a taste of what Goalster provides and how it can help people achieve their goals.